there, everybody, and you're very welcome to the latest Cuppa Culture from the South Tip Arts Podcast here at the Arts Centre in Clonmel. And my guest this week, Peter OToole, is a multi-instrumentalist, a member of the Hothouse Flowers, and now will be able to add filmmaker as another string to his bow, as his documentary film, When the Shed Light is On, premieres this very evening at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Peter has spent the last number of months connecting with the Mens Sheds of Tipperary, both remotely and in a series of visits to the now empty sheds. It aims to highlight the important and powerful work that is done by the Men's Shed members throughout the country, particularly focusing on our own county of Tipperary. The documentary is part of the Healthy Ireland initiative, and I was delighted to catch up with Peter to have a chat about the importance of the men's sheds to the men of Tipperary and how they're all coping during the lockdown. Peter, it's really nice to have you on the Cuppa Culture this week. I became aware of you through, obviously, the Hothouse Flowers. I grew up at the Hothouse Flowers. So, I'm absolutely delighted to have you on today. Your Men's Shed project is the thing that we're going to speak about today. And that really caught my attention because I do have a soft spot for the men's sheds. My dad used to go to the one here in Clonmel before he passed away. And I know he found it really enriching and it was a really important social space for him.
Yeah. That's amazing, and I'm sorry to hear he passed away. They're incredible places. I knew a little bit about them, and it was only till I started travelling around the county that and meeting some of the lads, that I really got a good insight into what it means to them, how much they, a lot of them depend on it, really for company and for,
I think so, Peter, and I think for like men who just say aren't into sport or maybe don't drink or go to the pub, they don't have that sort of social interaction that is really important, especially I think in rural areas to kind of combat the whole isolation factor that like everybody feels.
Exactly. I found that like there's a couple of men I met who were trying not to go to the pub, trying to avoid it because of obvious recovering alcoholics. And the men's shed is just somewhere really safe where they can go and sit in company without being judged and without a big title on it. It's just a gathering. It's just a cup of tea really each day or whatever, and some creative projects that they can get involved in. And, it turns out that the men's shed might be the only place that some of these lads might go. They may not go to church, they may not go to pubs. So they're really very important part of the community. And there's so many of them around Ireland. I was surprised at that as well. Huge amount. There's 450 sheds in Ireland, which is incredible. Yeah.
It's amazing, actually. I think during lockdown especially, and it must have been particularly difficult. I mean, all clubs, social kind of gatherings are all cancelled. So the men's shed is no different. But I think maybe a little bit tougher in that because of the service it provides and that kind of, social interaction for people who don't maybe have that much of it in their day. Lockdown must have been particularly hard for the men's shed. So I think your idea for the film is trying to kind of address that.
Yeah, I was looking at a way, how do you bring people together when they can't come together? And I wanted to do something for the men because obviously they weren't able to meet up again or meet up for ages now. And I just thought that a virtual gathering was a good idea. But I didn't realize at the time how a lot of the areas wouldn't have good Wi-Fi. So therefore that became a new challenge,
Yeah.
So the idea, I really just wanted to do the YouTube video and to launch it as a YouTube premiere where they can type to each other. And I have to say that the coordinators involved in all the sheds have been amazing because it's really down to them to try and get the links to the men.
In time and encourage them to click in.
Encourage them to somehow watch it, to somehow, get involved. And my plan was to try and involve as many as possible. So, as I said, the coordinators have been incredible. Some of them have weekly Zoom meetings just to keep in touch, just for, one of them said it was for safety, really, to make sure they were all okay, So they're on a weekly basis in touch with the members. So, I'm just hoping that a lot of them would be able to get through the technology and be able to watch it, because it's a lovely piece. Like, it turned into quite a musical piece. You know, I interviewed a lot of the men by phone, and I was able to visit some of the sheds. But I sent out word to my friends in the music industry and just said, listen, can you just send a little message to wish the Mens Shed members well, you know? And there's so, like, every one of them came back with videos of wishes, and then each one of them did a video of a song as well. So that kind of blew me away. So suddenly I had like 12 pieces of song, which I didn't want to leave out. So it's kind of like a mini gig, you know. It's a real celebration for the Mens Sheds. Like, I asked, you know, there's people like Greenshine who are in great band, Grainne Hunt, Ultan Conlan, John Spillane, Joe Chester, Ken Whelan. I'll just read them out because I have to say thank you to them all. Cormac Begley, who's an amazing concertina player, Maitiu O Casaide, Mundy, Hazel Chu, who's the Dublin Lord Mayor, gave a beautiful message. And then a friend of mine has a brewery, Mescan, in Mayo. So he did a beautiful demonstration of what it takes to make a Belgian beer. So I say, you know, they all came back and they were all amazing. So the pieces from the sheds and these musical pieces make it a very interesting documentary.
Is it fair to say, Peter, that when you started off, it sounds like it snowballed a bit from the plan you originally had into something even bigger?
Yeah, I had to cut a lot out, you know. So it's just the way it goes. It's obviously I wasn't able to get through to too many men. Like I was able to visit some of the sheds, and that was great.
Yeah.
There was some sheds that, you know, some of the members were very nervous about meeting anybody.
I know.
So I understood. Yeah. So I did phone interviews, and obviously once you get some of the lads talking, they just want to talk and talk and talk.
And so that probably really helped in a number of ways, because like if you were standing in front of them with your video camera, they may have just kind of seized up and not been able to be themselves properly. So the phone chat probably allowed them that bit of freedom.
Yeah, there was one lad I got on, and I was speaking to him for almost an hour, and you know, that's the length I wanted the whole show to be at.
I know, and then the edit, and
it was beautiful, and it was like there was so much richness in what he was saying, and there was sadness as well, you know. And he actually still goes to the shed, you know. He goes there on his own, and he sits and just sort of gets a lot out of just sitting there. So he goes up every day and sits in the shed, and might clean, or might, you know, just sit around or have a cup of tea. And how was your dad when he was there? Like, he must have really enjoyed that, did he?
He was great. Like, my dad was a fisherman, and he stopped drinking many, many years ago. So he was always kind of looking for other ways to kind of fill his time. But I suppose, like all men, when they come to sort of retirement age, they begin to feel a little bit maybe not useful anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Mens Shed, like, it did take us a little bit of encouraging of him to go to it. But when he went, I think it was the crack and the tea. He was a great man for the tea.
Yeah.
And the stories and smoking his pipe. And like, he'd come back with all these funny stories, and maybe some, like, he'd make maybe a thing for hanging your keys on, or a key rack or whatever, and he'd bring that back. So I have a couple of things that he made over there, like lovely things, and it was other men sharing skills with him, like marquetry and, you know, things like that he maybe would have never had a chance to try out in his life. And then he was an electrician, so he was able to do little jobs over there for them, and maybe if the kettle was broken, Jerry'd be the one to fix it, or, you know, like that. So like he really did get a lot out of it.
Well, that was it. I found that you know, like all things, when people might be nervous in the beginning, but I said it yesterday to Frank Dillon, and that I think not having the word group to this Mens Shed kind of makes it a little bit more inviting for men. Men would be very reluctant to go to something that might say a man's group.
I know, yeah.
Whereas it's a man's shed, and it kind of, you know, it's about,
okay for the manly man to go to the shed.
Exactly. You know, and you can go and just hang out with the lads and do a little bit of banging with the hammer, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that appeals to a lot more men. But once you get there, there's a lot happens, you know, just a lot happens. They eventually start talking about what's really going on inside of them. And that's what the Mens Shed is all about. You know, I had a great time up in Tipperary town Mens Shed, and that's it's part of an organic garden, and there was 3 lads there, and each of them, like, they were amazing. Just the conversation was incredible. So it's something that I want to continue at some point. I got an invitation there to go back and watch some of the herb growing, and there's just so much going on in the sheds, and it's a very powerful association, or whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely, and I think so. All the more important that your film is really, really bringing this to the forefront, at least in Tipperary. So it was the Sheds of Tipperary that you were specifically looking at, was it?
Just the Sheds of Tipperary, and I initially saw there was a kind of a call out for people to do something for Tipperary through the county council and the arts office and Healthy Ireland initiative as well. Yes,
we took part in that as well here. Yeah. Brilliant.
So I just kind of had a read of the call out, and I said, well, the Mens Shed just immediately came to mind, because I was thinking about them, and I was thinking that, I was thinking about where I live, there's a lot of farmers, and I was thinking about them, not being able to gather or because I'm in a small town, and people are really amazing the way they've kind of adjusted. There's a lot of potential isolation, but there's a lot of people checking in on neighbours and things like that. So it's been great. And as I said, the Men's Shed kind of came to mind when I seen that call out, and the whole Healthy Ireland initiative is amazing. Just encouraging people to switch off. And that's kind of what I was reminding people in the video, just turn off the news and watch comedy, because there's a lot of heavy weight goes on when you watch the news. And particularly for elderly people, they need to get away from that, just
absolutely
have a laugh. Yeah.
And it's a hard habit to break. I know myself, because I found myself becoming sucked into the news, especially at the beginning of this COVID business. And like that, watching numbers and watching what the dailies and all this, it's really anxiety making, and it really is really important to disengage from.
Yeah. So the whole switching off thing kind of really rung a bell with me, just because I don't actually watch TV at home ever,
I don't either, but this drew me back into the news.
Exactly, Just it was just kind of gotten worse and worse and worse, But there is, like, life is going on, thankfully, and there is a lot still to be doing, and the seasons are changing, and you see that here in the country. You see, like, the farmers never stopped. They just have to keep going. And, so, life has to go on. But you have to, I think comedy is a great medicine. Laughter is a great medicine. So, that's what I was trying to encourage just some of the lads to switch off and watch a bit of comedy and, go out walking or whatever.
So the premiere, Peter, is on Friday night?
Friday night, at 7 p.m. on YouTube. I have the link up everywhere. And
I'll put the link into the show notes of this as well. So
so it's a premiere on YouTube. So once it starts, people can type to each other. They can put in messages. Or my whole idea, I don't know if people, if some of the lads will be typing, but there's quite a few people who like our music, so they'll be typing anyway. And so I'll be there interacting and just kind of trying to draw people in and out.
Well, that's lovely, because it's another dimension to it, and it really speaks to the way that you want to kind of connect people while they can't be connected. And I think we're all challenged with this all the time this past year about how to reach people.
And also for that group of men and women, there is light now, because like vaccinations, a lot of them are now kind of clearing through that, and a lot of them feel safe. They feel safe having vaccinations. So for them, it's kind of like it's a little bit of hope, and that's very important. So
absolutely,
so we can just keep going. We still got all our online gigs coming up, and we still have lots of stuff to be doing online. But we're just kind of calling out for the day that you can start doing things in groups of people again.
Oh, can't wait. That'll be amazing. To go to a gig, oh my God.
We've been having things come and go, and it's still, you're confirming things, but knowing that, there's almost a big chance that
I know you can't again, anything. Yeah.
But the online gigs have been great. I've done a few, and I've another one coming up in it'll be going out on air in May. But they are great, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but they are brilliant, I must say. We did one as a band together just at Christmas time from Whelan's, and it had a huge reaction, and just for us as 5 members getting on stage again was just awesome. It was phenomenal. We played for, I think, almost 3 hours.
Oh,
yeah. And it was a great night. So, roll on those days.
Roll on. Yeah, absolutely. What is if people want to find your YouTube channel, Peter, to look at the film on Friday, what's the name of it? Just so they can...
To be honest with you, my YouTube channel it's got the strangest of titles. I'm like, I don't even know it because it's not my name. Or for YouTube, sorry. I couldn't get Peter OToole because the other Peter OToole had taken it.
Oh, well, obviously.
But I can send it on to you, the link.
That'd be great. Or even if people search your name, I'm sure it's probably the first thing that'll pop up in front of them.
If they search When the Shed Light is On, Premier Peter OToole, that'll definitely find it.
Yeah, but we'll put the link in the notes anyway. And you've got it up pretty much everywhere. So
I'll continue until the last day. But
absolutely.
I couldn't get a decent YouTube name, and someday I might be able to get one that's closer to who I am,
I know, these things are challenging, but sure, look.
Yeah.
Peter, I'm going to let you go. I've taken up enough of your time now. Thanks so much for having a chat with me today. It's been brilliant to talk to you. I wish you every best wish for the film, and hopefully you get to have a gig before too long as well. And that maybe we'll all get to go. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time, and thanks for just highlighting the Mens Sheds of Tipperary.
No problem at all, Peter. Nice to talk to you.
Take care.
Massive thanks to Peter for taking the time out to have a chat with me this week. You can find his YouTube channel by just searching his name, Peter OToole. It comes up straight away. And if you subscribe and hit the notifications, you will be notified when the premiere begins this evening. He's gathered an amazing bunch of people to contribute to this lovely documentary, so I encourage everybody to go and watch it. The link will be in the notes underneath this recording. Finally, if you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, the email address is southtip.artspodcast@gmail.com. That's southtip.artspodcast@gmail.com. Talk to you all next time.